welcome to Cizzles Season 2. We're so happy to be back and having everybody back to watch our amazing chefs and all the amazing work that they're doing. If you didn't get a chance to see Season 1 or to see our winning chef, Dr. Nick Hoekstra, please check our website, CIDDL.org, and check out his winning video and all of the other chefs that did an amazing job for Season 1. We were so happy to see everybody at CEC in January, and now we're back for another exciting season. So with me tonight is a very special guest, Dr. James Basham. And Dr. Basham, welcome. I want to know, you have been so instrumental in getting CIDDL off the ground. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and how CIDDL came into being?
Sure. I want to correct, though, Nick's a doc student. So it goes to show, doc students are doing great things out there.
That's true. That's true. He's almost there, though. He's going to be amazing once.
Yes, he is. But he would appreciate being called Dr. Bradley, but we need to probably correct that. So, so I'm James Basham, or Jamie, as many know me, professor here at the University of Kansas. Do much of my work in design of modern learning environments with a specific focus on universal design for learning and technology, and the kind of how the two are intertwined together. And so CIDDL is kind of a culmination of those things, right? When OSEP had the foresight to really reach out to the field and say, hey, look, there's a need to really help support higher education faculty members in using technology and innovating the field and kind of connecting people through a community together to talk about technology. We thought that solicitation was kind of written for us. We were like, that's us. And who better to bring along than our friends at UCF and CAST and our partners at Materi. What we've done with CIDDL here is brought together a great team of people to bring things forward, but more importantly, to bring the field forward and to actually bring the field into doing silly things like we are now with the CIDDL Cizzles, as it's kind of the running joke at CIDDL, but also to empower the field to help one another. So as we like to talk about our community, it's a community for us, by us. And when I say by us, it's not by the CIDDL team, it's really by the community members. And those of us out there who are watching the Cizzle today, those who are participating in CIDDL and all the different things that we do. It's really about us as a field coming together to really innovate and think about how do we prepare future special educators, related service personnel, early childhood teachers, and future doc students to really hone in on their use of technology to really truly innovate the field. So we truly appreciate OSEP's foresight in seeing this and looking to advance this cause. And we're thankful that the field's kind of coming together with us to do this work.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. I mean, it really is amazing when we look at the future of what work is going to be, and our job really is to prepare those students that are coming up to be ready for that workforce. This is a missing piece. And I think that you're right, the community is amazing, and we're all here for the same things. And if you're interested in CIDDL and joining the community, we really have a great community that's forming. It's getting bigger every day. You can go to CIDDL.org and click on the CIDDL community and join our community there. There's a great group of people that have a lot of things to talk about and to answer questions, find resources, etc. So make sure that everybody tries to join the community when you can. So, but more importantly, we're here to talk about cooking and your recipe. You're going to be making chicken wings, but as you may or may not know, our little chef show here is a competition. And one of the aspects of the competition is to be able to rate your recipe and link it to the specific technology. So why don't you tell us about the technology that you're going to be talking about tonight?
Well, first of all, I don't know if it's fair for CIDDL people to actually, CIDDL Center people to actually participate in the actual competition, but so I may have to forego that part of it. But anyhow, my technology is a simple one. because it's not really tech. And I think this is an important part of technology. Because oftentimes we get caught on the shiny objects of technology, thinking about, oh, this is a great device or a great piece of software.
That's me. I love those shiny objects.
Well, and we all do, right? We're all, especially the tech people. I'm dangerous at Best Buy or places like that. Or we were just at ISTE earlier this week. That's a dangerous place for me, right? But the reality is, it's really what the technology empowers us to do and how we utilize that technology that's really important. So, like many of us throughout the pandemic, my life completely changed. I think all of our lives completely changed. But I was one that was continually on the road, flying from place to place, conducting research, giving lectures, doing all the things that we normally do. But I find myself at home, and I had all these things that I kind of always wanted to do throughout my life. And one of them was to learn how to smoke meat, right? And so here we are, kind of in Kansas, right outside Kansas City, one of the greatest homes of barbecue of all times. I'm sure we'll have people from Texas seeing this at some point in time, maybe complaining or whatever. but Kansas City is kind of the home of barbecue. And so I wanted to learn how to smoke meat. And so the first thing I did is I said, well, where can I do that? Right. So I went onto YouTube very quickly, went onto YouTube like many of us would do, especially many of the younger generation of kids that have like glommed onto YouTube and watch it as everyday TV. So I went onto YouTube to figure out kind of how to take on this task. And I looked at the budget I had, which was very little to kind of get going. And I started doing that work and kind of sorting through things. And when it came down to you all saying, hey, we need you to do a Cizzles, and I pushed it off for like a year saying, no, I can't do that. I don't want to do that. Because I didn't really want to be very tech centric. I wanted to be focused on how do we use technology to actually leverage something great? How do we do great things with technology? And then it dawned on me that really it's the smoking of the meat that we should bring forward, right? And there's obviously technology in just the smoking of the meat, but really it comes down to information literacy. It's how do we go through life and identify good information sources, right? How do we utilize those information sources and go through that process, that process of finding, evaluating, organizing, using, and then communicating out information through various forms of technology.
And becoming lifelong learners.
Yeah, and it's a continual sort of process of lifelong learning. And something we really need to work on, the professionals in the field right? So as we are people in higher education, we're supporting the next generation of professionals in the field. We need to really think about how do we impart media literacy, information literacy, and digital literacy on these folks. And that's something that's critically done. It has to be done like everything else, kind of in an explicit sort of manner, with them going through and understanding what that is, and us teaching that. And as someone that trains and prepares future faculty members, I do this all the time with my doc students, and probably most of us do. Like we talk about things like how do you know if you have enough information in your literature review, right? How do you know, and we start going through how do you evaluate information? And this is something that we often think about very narrowly in research journals, et cetera. But the modern world, we really have to think about what does that mean in Facebook? What does it mean in our Google searches? What's it mean in YouTube? And throughout the pandemic, as I was learning to smoke meat, and you put on some weight, of course, because I've learned to smoke meat. How do I go forth and do that work? And so I think that's an important part that we're overlooking here. It's not always about the shiny objects. It's about what do we do with those shiny objects, right?
Those shiny objects are tools that we can use.
Correct.
But we need to use them correctly, and we need to be able to teach our students and our pre-service teachers how to use those tools correctly. Right. And that's just as important as finding the tool.
That's exactly right. How do we use them correctly? And how do we get our teachers, our future teachers, or future professionals in the field to impose this understanding onto their students, right? So that so their students can take on some information literacy and think about what is good information, what is not good information, et cetera. And then what are some tools they can even use? So, for instance, one of the projects that I have that I work with CAST, because I have this kind of dual appointment where I'm a professor at the University of Kansas and in a leadership position at CAST, who are the founders of UDL. We have a tool that we're developing called Corgi, which converges, and I think you maybe have a screenshot of it here. Yeah. So it converges what we know about graphic organizers, and really takes some of the work that's historic here at KU and the SIM work and in the instructional strategies that went into SIM. And it brings it into the digital age, right? And it's a free tool. It's available. Anyone can use it. Just go to Corgi. There you go. It's right in the chat. There you go. It's corgi2.cast.org. It's a free tool. We're actually conducting research right now in middle schools across the United States, and we're looking for more people. So if you happen to know middle school teachers that are specifically in STEM areas, we'd love to talk to you. But we'd also encourage us as higher education folks to think about and use this in our classes, get our future professionals exposed to this sort of work. But it takes graphic organizers and helps them decipher good information from bad information. It helps support things like developing stronger argumentation, et cetera. So we're taking the concept of information literacy and embedding it and supporting it with a tool like Corgi. That's what technology helps do. So when you all came to me and were chasing me for the last year about...
and we were literally chasing you down.
Yeah. So what is the technology I want to share? Really, the technology is really a broader sort of theme of information literacy.
And it's perfect.
Within that, then you have media literacy and digital literacy. But overall, one of the tools you can use if you're tool-centric is Corgi to help you support that.
And if somebody is interested in working with Corgi and being part of your study, how would they get in touch with you?
Well, first of all, you can go to Corgi website, and there's information there on how to get in touch with us. People can always reach out to me directly on my email, which is on the CIDDL website. Or even better yet, get into the CIDDL community, and you could DM me right there. Because the CIDDL community is something that I think is special. In fact, we've already know that there are doc students, et cetera, in the CIDDL community. There are faculty members in the CIDDL community. And we're all sharing with one another information. But what's interesting, last year, I had a doc student that actually DM'd me that said they think they got a job because of the CIDDL community. So
that's great.
So someone had reached out to them and said, "Hey, you're a doc student. We have a search open, and here's the search information, and we'd love to have you apply." And so it really kind of helped them apply for that position and set up that relationship. So join the CIDDL community, whether you're a doc student and you want to join with other doc students in discussions, or you're a faculty member that is looking to connect with other faculty, and you want to you're really just trying to innovate the field, especially throughout and past the pandemic, and thinking about how do we do that and how do we use technology to do that. So,
or if they'd like
this conversation.
Yeah, exactly. If they'd like to be a Cizzles chef, please let us know. We're looking for chefs for season 2 and moving on to season 3. So,
yes.
It was a weird idea. It still is a weird idea, but it's been so much fun, and so many people are getting so much joy out of it, and a lot of really good information. So we're going to keep doing it as long as people are interested.
That's right. And I'll say, even though I tried to avoid it for a year or so, it's not overly painful, actually. In fact, it's a lot of fun. So,
yeah, it's a lot of fun.
And it's fun because you get to involve your family a little bit and everything.
Yeah, exactly. So speaking of that, why don't you tell us a little bit about your recipe and what you're going to share with us?
Sure. So I wanted to do something simple that could be done pretty quickly. So I chose chicken wings. It's a crowd favorite around here, as you'll see in just a few minutes, I think. So we did some chicken wings. We smoked the chicken wings because there's multiple ways you can do them. But I went on, found a recipe, kind of modified it slightly. Made it my own, sort of a multiple means sort of thing, if you will. And then went through and conducted smoked the chicken wings and enjoyed the chicken wings. So
All right, well, here it is, Dr. James Basham making chicken wings.
Chicken wings sound good. I think we're gonna make some chicken wings. Smoked chicken wings. So I've watched a bunch of videos on YouTube. I've kind of gotten excited. I'm gonna do some chicken wings. All right, so we're gonna kind of get this going. Of course, we're dealing with chicken. You want to stay clean. I saw everyone on YouTube using a glove, so we're gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna use a glove. I think that's a great idea. What do you think, Bo? You have some chicken wings. So what most people don't know is that you can just use your Weber grill to do some smoking, and we're gonna kind of get that going here in a few minutes. All right, so being in Kansas City, we're gonna go with Kansas City style. So I've got some Jack Stacks here, which is a Kansas City sort of rub. We're gonna do some Holy Voodoo, which is out of Meat Church, it's Texas, but very good, very good. And we're gonna use some Joe's Kansas City barbecue sauce at the end. And we're gonna use the Melinda's kind of special reserve, if you will, right here as kind of a binder to kind of get it going. So they have a little bit of heat to them, but I think they'll be pretty good. Okay, so the first step of the process is kind of go through the pieces and take off like any little bones or anything that's kind of sticking out, right? So you want the small little pieces and bones out of there. And then what we're going to do is kind of get them into this hole, put that binder on there. And kind of move it up. That's the first step of the process. First step of the process. Make sure they're kind of covered. And then we're going to put some of the seasoning on. So the seasoning, kind of just dump that in there. Put some of the seasoning in there. Again, kind of make sure it's all around. So I'm going to put a little bit more seasoning on it just because I think it needs some more. Always a good idea. We're going to add a little bit more seasoning all the way across all of them. And then we're going to flip them over and kind of do the other side. All right, so we're back at the grill. Charcoals are heating up. I'm going to dump those, kind of get those kind of spread out here. And then we're going to add a little bit of wood here for the stove. Today we're using a little bit of hickory and a little bit of apple. Usually fruit woods are good with, I think they're good with some of the lighter meat. And so chicken is a perfect thing for some fruit woods to be good with. But you don't want it all hot and like that. So we're going to kind of get this in there, let it simmer down a little bit. Okay, so I just got the chicken on, the chicken wings on. Got a meter here to kind of measure the temperature, kind of keep it regulated, of course. I don't have a fancy grill, so we're just using a little Weber. But so I just got them on here, and they're offset. Wait for all the smoke to clear, but they're offset. So we have kind of what they call a slow and sear actually on this side. So this is where the heat is, and then it's blowing the smoke over here. So chicken wings are sitting there. There's where the probe kind of comes out and goes there. And then we just kind of control everything because it's not fancy. I can't tell what temperature to control. We control it from the dampers, both the top and the bottom. Usually chicken wings, to get them to the temperature we need them, which is at least 165 because that's the safe cooking temperature, of course, for chicken. We like to get it a little bit higher. Usually I like to have them right around 200 for chicken wings, or at least that's kind of what I heard on YouTube. Tried it once or twice and it seems to work, and so that's what we're going to do here today. So it's going to take an hour and a half to get to that. So there we go. Okay, so we're just checking on them. We're probably sitting about 165, somewhere in there. I'm going to get a probe out here in a few minutes and check them, but you got a ways to go. We want them to be nice and crispy. And to get them crispy, we need to get them hot and kind of warmed up. So we're going to get closer to 200 on these. But so far, I think they're looking pretty good. Got a good smoke going on them. Yeah, but they're still cooking. Okay, so let's do some ending and see kind of where we're at. Look great here. Kind of heading in the 180s territory. So that's about the same, the right time to kind of do the last basting here. And last basting being Joe's barbecue sauce out of Kansas City. So we're going to baste. The basting is, I'm going to do this at the very end. And all we're doing really here is getting this kind of tacked up. So they're kind of sticky a little bit. And they're going to kind of, might be almost fall off the bone soon here by the time they get off. We're going to just do these, and we're going to do them this side, and then we'll flip them, and then do the other side. So within 20 minutes here, we'll be pulling these off the grill probably. Yes, 20 minutes or so. Smoked chicken wings, so they take obviously a lot longer than grilling or whatever, because we've done them on the offset. And I'll tell you what, that hickory wood and the apple wood are going to give these such a nice flavor. So it's been about 20 minutes. I've already flipped them. You've got the one side, flip to the other side, pull them off, and serve them up. I think they're going to be quite good. So I guess what we do is catch you on the inside. We're going to get them going here. Okay, so here we are at the end product. We're probably a little over 2 hours after getting them on. Again, they're smoked, so they take a little bit longer, but I'm going to tell you they're worth the wait. Just absolutely incredible. I think people are going to really enjoy them. Probably let them cool down for just a couple minutes, and then serve them up, and we're ready to go. All right, Thomas is going to give the taster here. Let's see what we think. Awesome. Chicken wings. Smoked barbecue chicken wings. They're a winner.
Perfect. That was amazing. For people that love barbecue, I'm sure everyone is salivating right now. That was amazing.
Well, I need to thank Thomas for helping film and, laughing at me occasionally. I would not know.
No, he looked like that he got rewarded for his hard work. Definitely did. He looked like he was enjoying those chicken wings. So you said that you didn't know how to do this before the pandemic, and then you went just on YouTube. So I think that's a great example of information literacy, because you didn't just go to the first place. It looked like you were searching videos. And why don't you tell us about that process in the eye of thinking about information literacy?
Yeah, I mean, so there's just tons of, obviously there's just about anything you want to find on YouTube, as many of us have done home improvements and other things on YouTube. And so really it's finding out, what are some places you want to go on YouTube to find information. And then what are some of the tastes and things that you can use. So for instance, one of the things I would look for is, because I didn't have a budget to go out and buy an expensive setup. I just wanted to do this, and there wasn't a lot of access to things, obviously, during the pandemic either. So even if I wanted a nice grill, I couldn't probably get one. So I just went down to the local hardware store and picked up a Weber, because I had looked into it, and people said you could smoke on a Weber. And I was like, oh, I didn't know you could even do that. And so, I went down, picked up a Weber. And so then I was able to start searching for smoking on a Weber grill. And suddenly you find lots of different ideas. And
so that's a question, though. When you see so many different ideas, how do you know where to hone in on the ones that you should be paying attention to and the ones that you shouldn't?
So that's a great question. I mean, you initially start as you normally would, right? Like, what are some things that you and your family like? And so you search for those, right? And then what you do is I start looking for things like I said in that video, like, and some of it's small, right? Some of it's kind of small. Like, so how do you tell whether someone's kind of serious about the barbecue that they're doing, or they're just, and one of the things is, like, I started noticing, like, all these professional barbecue folks and chefs, like wearing one glove on one hand and using the other hand to season things. And so there's little telltale signs that would tell me like, oh, they're kind of serious about what they're doing, but it's also things that I could adopt. And then you started getting into things like the different types of woods and things like that you can. And then of course you go online beyond YouTube and follow up on just Googling the things, and you'd say, oh, this shows that this person knows what they're doing, etc. And then you kind of start following all the people that you kind of start getting into, right?
So I think generalizing it, number one would be look for what the experts are doing. And then number two, corroborating what they're doing with other experts. Don't just look at one, but look to see, a group of people, what they're doing. And then to see what works for you in your position or your work, and then go from there if we really wanted to break it down into those small points.
Yeah, I mean, so you're going through that sort of finding lots of information, going through the evaluation process, organizing those things around the different variables that you know are important to you, and looking, as you said, like who are the experts out there doing this work, right? And there's obviously, in cooking, there are tons of experts out there, people that we recognize from, different Food Network shows, but then there's like All Things Barbecue, which is a big barbecue store actually in Wichita, but they're known throughout the web to be kind of a go-to sort of place to get things around barbecue. So that if they're doing some interesting sort of things, and Chef Tom's doing things, and that's the chef there, that, oh my gosh, Chef Tom is doing that. And then I use sounds like a big advertisement, but I use Meats Church in some of their seasoning, and they have their own little show. And then the gentleman you saw, and we can maybe link these later on, but Dogfather's Barbecue, which is a gentleman out of Texas who, to learn his story and the work that he's done in barbecue is just amazing too. And so he's got his own following on YouTube. So you kind of get to see these people. And then once you hone in on those sort of people, then you can start, well, I'm going to try his recipe or try this recipe or try her recipe. And then you kind of shape kind of what you like a little bit.
And that's exactly the point about information literacy, is you can use those same techniques really for anything that you're looking for, any kind of research that you're doing in terms of what you want to do or what you want your students to do, being able to teach your students how to have that process of thinking about when they're looking for information. I think it's amazing. So your topic was amazing. Your barbecue looked amazing. I know we have a few people heading to Kansas now to be able to participate in some of your cooking. And I really appreciate you coming on and putting the work in. I hope you enjoyed it as much as we did.
It was tasty. It was quite tasty.
I'm sure Thomas thought so too. And please thank him for his hard work. He did a great job.
Well, I'll do that. I'll probably
filming. He'll be a future.
I'll probably make another batch of chicken wings real soon.
And then you don't have to record it. You have to get him in there basting. So. Well, thank you again so much. Again, if anybody is interested in more information about information literacy or any of the topics that Cizzles has talked about, please head to our website, CIDDL.org. Join the community. It's a great place. It's growing daily. And we really have a nice conversation on a number of different topics. Lots of really good resources from experts there about introducing any kind of technology into higher ed preparation, pre-service preparation, or related services.
Yeah, and I'll drop a few resources actually in the community itself.
Great.
So UNESCO has a great curriculum that has come out on Think Critically, Click Wisely. And then there's some books. Jonathan Rausch has a book out on the Constitution of Knowledge, the Defense of Truth, which kind of gets into these things. And then, of course, Corgi. We can't forget about Corgi.
Yes,
so check out Corgi.
that is good. A couple of us are already thinking that Corgi will be good for us too. So perfect. All right. Well, thank you so much. Please join us for our next Cizzles, which I believe is July 28th, where we'll have another chef joining us with an exciting recipe and then a piece of technology to talk to. So again, thank you, Dr. Basham. Appreciate it. And